How are you doing, mate? And give me some perspective and some positivity somehow, Harry.
I'm good, thanks. I hope you're well. It's frustrating, it's painful, to be honest with you, but I think you've got to look at the bigger picture. I thought we were really good today. I thought the players showed a lot of commitment. Of course, you can never excuse going 2-0 up in a game and somehow losing it. I think that it is inexcusable on its own, but I thought we've done well today. And there's whole questions about there's a lot, wasn't there, about commitment coming into this. I think we showed commitment. We turned up for the game and made it really hard for Chelsea, but a couple of brainless decisions to give away a couple of penalties, and we just didn't take our chances, really punished us. So the pressure will no doubt be on Ange after this, but I think the bigger picture is important. I think we were good today, but because it's Chelsea, because we were 2-0 up, as I said, just Chelsea, that London derby, it's going to hurt a lot more than usual, and the pressure will be on Ange going into tomorrow morning for sure.
Some people in the comments, Harry, are talking about, and it's actually Artava who says the high line and the intensity is causing injuries. Is it just coincidence that we get all these injuries, Harry, or is there something to be said for it's too intense? Ange's insistence on being, kind of radically in opposition's faces for as long as possible must be, for me, it must be causing a lot of these muscle injuries.
Yeah, I don't think it is a coincidence. I think it's system related. And I said something on my personal social media on X in the first half, which didn't go down too well, but it was about Romero being rushed back. And I think Van der Ven being injured as well. For me, I look at it and go, neither of them should have been past fit. Whether, Romero's injury is in a different position or not, whether it's self-inflicted, I don't think that him, in particular Van der Ven, the bigger risk here, shouldn't have been rushed back. And I'm hoping it's more cramp than hamstring. So I don't think it's any secret. Davis obviously a hamstring. I don't know what the scan results were. So no, it is no coincidence, and it is that high line. I think sometimes you have to be a bit flexible. I don't think that Ange was flexible in this game, but as I said, Janet, the bigger picture is important. I think we showed our ceiling under Postecoglou today, what we're capable of. I think that was a reminder. People forgot or didn't see the Man City win over Man City. This is what this team's capable of. If we're, he's given the right players. And we're patient and we get behind him. It's been frustrating. It's been a really bad start to the season, but I think he needs time. I don't think we should go through our sixth manager in 6 years. I don't think that's right. I think we need to unite behind him when things are difficult. But yeah, answering your question, I think these injuries are no coincidence at all.
Harry, I like that positivity, but the question is, do you think Daniel Levy will give him the time that you think he deserves?
No, I don't think so. I think, as I said, you're going to tomorrow morning, he'll be under a lot of pressure. I don't think that he will lose his job necessarily this week, but I think he'll be under pressure going into that Rangers game. And I don't think that's going to be easy. Then we go into the Southampton game. Sounds easy, but they need a result. I can see the pressure really mounting. So I don't think he'll be given the time. And I think it's sad to say, but it does feel like the beginning of the end. And whether you agree with Ange's philosophy or not, I think some things are bonkers. Sometimes I think some things we do, like I find the high line suicidal, and some things we do, I think we shoot ourselves in the foot, our own worst enemy, from player decision and also from Ange not being flexible. And it is, maybe we're a laughing stock in that sense, but I think there's no benefit in getting rid of him now. What's the better alternative? You spoke about it with a guest before. Pochettino is not going to come. There's no better alternative right now that's ready to go that says to me, right, get rid of Ange now. I think you give him the season regardless.
I assume, based on what Tottenham are trying to do now in terms of transfer strategy and stuff, I assume that Daniel Levy must have already had a word with Johan Lang and Scott Munn to say, think about, succession plans. I really do, because that's something that Spurs have really failed on previously. They've always bounced from one style of manager to the opposite style of manager. And they've clearly they've devised this strategy of, buying young players, talented young players. So do you think it's likely that Scott Munn is probably, writing on a list names such as Thomas Frank, Iraola, etc., etc.?
Quite possibly, and they're good managers, but I would prefer if they spent that time thinking about first, right, how can we bring success with Ange, because it's a lot easier to do it than the manager you've got at the moment. Well, having said that, the easier thing actually might be just to sack Ange and bring someone else in. I think that's what Levy and the club keep doing, keep bringing someone else in. But the reality is, someone like an Ange, a high demand system, it's bold, it's going to need the best players to do it, and I don't think we're prepared to do that. With the same with Mourinho and Conte, it's not going to work with your average players and your kind of average recruitment. So I think the recruitment's been a lot better recently. I think it's really good under Paratici. I don't think we get the credit for it. Looking back at the summer, though, I think we signed some good players, Gray, Solanke, but I think we could have done more. So you talk about planning for these situations. I don't think we've done that enough. But yeah, we should be planning. That's something we don't do well enough as a club, regardless whether it works out with Ange or not. I would say the same with City with Pep. Arsenal with Arteta, they should absolutely still be behind them, but there should be, a plan in place for the future. You should always be planning for these situations. But yeah, it hurts, this defeat, and there'll be questions around the ownership, around the manager, around the players. But I call for people to be level-headed, look at the long term, and go, the players show fight, show commitment today. They're still behind the manager, and that for me says all you need to know. You stick with it for now. It's painful, but we need to back the team during the bad times as well as the good times. I know it's hard.
I hope you're right, Harry. They just showed me there a replay of the Caicedo incident in the first half. It feels to me like we're on the butt end of some of these decisions at the moment. Certainly, I think I mentioned it earlier, the Lucic one against Fulham, where he should have been sent off. And for me, I don't know if you agree, that Caicedo one is exactly what Romero got sent off for in this fixture last year. So why didn't he get sent off? What's going on there?
Good question. I personally don't think VAR was in operation when you look at that. And I don't like to blame officials or anything. I think it is quite a lazy excuse that fans use. I don't think it should or would have defined necessarily this result. But it's a decision.
We'd still have found a way to lose, is what you're saying.
No, exactly. I wouldn't surprise me, even by more, maybe. You just don't know with Spurs. We don't plan for these types of situations. It all does come back to that. But yeah, it should have been a red card for me. I was very surprised how quickly it was waved away as well. I don't like to see players sent off necessarily for that, but we've seen it happen. Romero was sent off for that. Where's this consistency? And I know consistency maybe is subjective, but for me, it should have been a red card. I was amazed.
Yeah,
you talk about luck. Another day we could have got a draw out of it if that decision goes our way. Maybe it's luck, and all of it's going against Ange and the team right now.
Yeah, and to be fair, and to for full equality, I think Kulusevski should have got sent off for elbowing Lavia in the head as well. Exactly.
Yes, it could go either way, couldn't it?
Oh, and they're just showing that as well. Let's just stay with me while we go through some comments, mate, because you're really great. Richard Smith says Graham Bergville are too lightweight. We'd seen enough of them play for us. You could answer properly. And Gray lightweight. I don't think. Oh, I see. He's answering someone who said, "Are they too lightweight?"
All right.
TSOM says, "How do we expect Ange to succeed when he doesn't have enough players to play 11 versus 11 in training?" Well, that's we're talking about the potential that's because of the type of training that he does. Okay, here's an interesting one. Boone Sengley, thanks for writing in. Says we lost because there's no in-game management. We are losing control from the first half. Now, Harry. Ange's in-game management is something that gets discussed a lot. Do you think that's something he could improve on?
Yeah, of course. But I would remind fans that there's times where his in-game management has won us games, and there's times where he's got it absolutely spot on. So I think you can look at it, and you could look at it with Chelsea and go, maybe they could have bought like Manweke on earlier, for example. I think Sancho was really struggling in periods in that second half. So you can find faults and positives with any manager's in-game management, but I don't think it's a massive issue because, as I said, there's times where he's brought on Johnson, brought on Kulusevski, and it's changed the game. Look at Man City. The decision to start him on the right-hand side would have been really unpopular and very just rare to find Spurs fans suggesting that. But he comes up with the idea, in-game little tactical tweaks. I think they do work. So his substitutions have been effective. Timo Werner's been apart from this game, has been really effective recently. And at the end, we saw him put a really good ball in the box. On another day, someone gets on the end of that. So, and we'd all be going, Ange's in-game management again gets us a point from when we're losing 4-2. So it's fine margins in football. It is in any sport, but football in particular. It was a crazy game today, and we were on the wrong end of the scoreline, but we were part of a special game with two teams that looked at their absolute best. So I think, again, the bigger picture's important, but I don't agree that his in-game management is poor. I don't think it's a problem. I don't think it's why we're losing. I think his stubbornness, maybe, but his in-game management is usually right.
Tony Plee says, suicidal high line, WTF Ange. After 2-0, tactics should have changed. You're killing the players. So I guess what Tony's suggesting here is that 2-0 should he have then kind of more gone into like a Conte ball style. But I was saying earlier, I don't know if you agree, Harry, I think Tottenham were a lot more pragmatic in this game and did play kind of on the transition a lot more rather than trying to dominate the ball. So I think fans have to kind of realize that they can't just... And actually, it was Jamie Carragher I heard saying how, Ange is too naive and gung-ho. And actually, I didn't feel like we were gung-ho today.
No, we weren't. I think he was jumping on the bandwagon, to be honest with you. And I would remind people, someone's just said it in the chat, none of us would have expected to beat Chelsea or probably get anything against Chelsea coming into the game. It's the fact we're in such a good position. So this result shouldn't come as a surprise. And a lot of fans that were saying we're going to lose by 3 or 4 goals are now backtracking and going, this is disgraceful when we've lost by only 1 goal. So again, I think you've got to be careful. And again, once again, look at that a bigger picture. But no, I don't think that the whole thing around in-game management is a massive problem. And 2-0 up, and I agree with you. I think that we did sit back a little bit more, and it is, we make these same mistakes, these lapses in concentration, as they call it, these brain fart, kind of brain dead decisions. Like from Basuma, that's why is he even going to floor? Why is he going? He should be on his feet for a start. Pape Matar Sarri's got so much energy, and that's 9 times out of 10 a positive thing. But in this case, he just can't slow himself down. He had that earlier in the first half where he got himself booked. He couldn't slow himself down. That's the problem with his game personally. But yeah, 2 penalties given away. We know Palmer's going to convert them. You could look at either way. I think we missed some big chances. But you could say Chelsea could either. So it really depends. Either your glass half empty or half full person. I personally see it as Ange's in-game management isn't a problem. And we did try and sit back and it didn't quite work. That's the way I view it.
Yeah, TSOM here said Sonny had a shocker, sadly. Could have had a few more today. Do you, Harry, see a slight degrading of Sonny's abilities, or is this just like a momentary lack of form that you think will come back? Ange obviously said, didn't he, a week or two ago, I dare you to write off Sonny. But we certainly could have done with him finishing a bit better today, as we could have done early in that Fulham game as well, I think it was.
Yeah. Definitely. I think he looked better in this game, but he didn't take his chances, which is a real shame for him. And that one in particular, wasn't it? Where I don't know whether it was certain or not, to be totally honest with you. I think it should have done, but whether it would have, you just don't know with VAR at this point. But where a doggy and intervene would play, you back him to score that. And we had one with Arsenal last season. We had one a couple of weeks ago. Just back him to score those type of chances. So it's a shame that he didn't. But yeah, I do see a slight degrading on his form, and there's no secret he's not getting any younger. I will remind fans that the South Korean age works differently, so he is really a year younger than if you searched on Google how old he is. So it's clutch at straws here, but that's a slight positive. Maybe we have him for a year longer.
Is he 25?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, not quite that far, not that different. But I think he'd be someone who stays around the club for a long while and will be used by maximum possible for various different reasons. I think he'd be at the club for a long while. But no, I think he was okay today, and I don't blame him because he got in good positions and his clever thinking to get there and think, hang on, I'm onside, let's keep going. And most players just stop because they think, oh, Doggy's going to touch it, it's offside. So you can look at it either way. I look at it and go, Son was better today, just couldn't quite take his chances.
Okay, Harry, brilliant, mate. You've been so good. Thanks so much. Tell everyone where they can find you on your channels.
Thank you very much for having me. Really appreciate it. To talk Tottenham once again. If you want to follow me, you can at HarryScarf22 on X, TikTok, Instagram, because I'm a football content creator and YouTuber. I also have my own channel, Scarfy Spurs Talk as well, and a podcasting channel there. So thank you very much for having me. And I'm occasionally on Carlin's show. It's great to come on here for the first time as well. So thank you very much for having me. Big up to the chat.
No problem, guys. Make sure that you find Harry's channels and give him a follow and a subscribe.